Hi, welcome to Crime Clueless. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
I'm Lara.
I'm Krista.
And I'm Kayla.
How's everybody doing today?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
We are firmly in spooky season.
Yay.
Yes, we sure are.
Our pod lab is getting more and more skeletons.
I appreciate that.
I did notice that when I came in.
Yeah. I've got plans for more. But,
Good.
You
like it.
Thank you.
I like all your decorations. I put out mine.
you.
It fits on one entry table.
Really?
That's all your Halloween decorations?
I have some that go by my TV.
Oh, man. We had like 7 boxes.
Me too.
My general home decor is Halloween decor. So
Yeah.
that's just kind of
Yeah.
my year round.
My husband went through our house and counted how many pumpkins there were. There was over 75.
I'm so proud of you.
Me too.
So many.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd have to think. But I could probably count them in my head.
I could not. I was like, I don't know, 30. And he's like, no, that's not even close.
Wrong.
I probably have like 10.
I think there's like 20 on just my dining table.
There's room for you to grow, Laura.
Yeah.
There is. There's room to grow.
You two need to balance out your Halloween and Christmas.
I don't have Christmas.
I
I didn't even
know.
put up a tree last year.
It's like 10 boxes of Christmas stuff.
I have a lot of Christmas stuff.
Oh,
So back to Halloween.
yes. Yes. Sorry, I'm already excited.
No, you're good.
I did buy more Halloween birds.
You're welcome
They're
for
so
the
cute.
influencing on that.
Rex is like, where are we going to put these? I'm like, just put them with the rest. I decided that they're actually crows and they're my murder that are on my
Yes, I
entry
like
table.
Hey, I like
Nice.
that.
My murder of crows dressed up for Halloween.
Yeah.
I played a prank on a friend in college. We were going back and forth and we bought a bunch of crows and would hide them around his apartment, like in his car and stuff. That was fun.
Perfect. That's funny.
I love it. It's a good time of year.
Mhm.
I have a haunting for you
Yay.
Ooh.
off of my favorite spooky season movie, which is The Shining.
A great one.
Mm-hmm.
I have not
I have
seen
not
that.
seen that either.
Really?
Ladies,
No.
Classic.
you've got to watch it. It's
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it's like that scary or intense.
No, I mean, there's parts that are scary, but I mean, it's more kind of like a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't think you would hate it.
I really love scary when I'm watching it. Like I love like the kind of like spooky feeling, or I don't get that freaked out while I'm watching. But at 3 a.m. when I wake up and it's dark and my brain starts showing me things standing in the doorway, then I don't like it. So I have to just limit.
You know 3 a.m. is the witching hour, right?
Yeah, I wake up at that time all the time and think that thought.
Yeah.
And have to go to the bathroom and just go back to sleep. I'm not walking around at 3 a.m.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
You don't get up to go to the bathroom when you wake up because you have to go to the bathroom?
If it's 3 a.m.
What? I would never be able to go back to sleep.
Sometimes my dogs wake me up at that time, though, to go downstairs and use the restroom. And
So they're being haunted?
yeah, I guess so. And I have to walk around with them at 3 a.m. and it's
Dogs
terrifying.
do have a sixth sense.
Yeah.
They can see stuff we can't.
There's
There's a new
not gonna sleep
there's
tonight.
a new scary movie that came out this year. I haven't seen it, but it's from the point of view of the dog.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's interesting.
What's
Okay.
that called?
I
What's it
need you
called?
to find out what it's called. I need to watch
I got you.
it. What is your favorite scary or Halloween movie, Krista?
I don't know. I watch Hocus Pocus every year. I do
Like the
like
second
Hocus
one?
Pocus. I did. I thought it was entertaining. I like the first one better, but the second one was, I felt like still good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I did like, and I feel like Kayla might say this, but I did really love The Haunting of Hill House and all like that series, but I don't rewatch them every year. I just watched it.
Those are the Mike Flanagan
yes.
series on Netflix. Those are my favorite. I watch them every year. Haunting of Hill House is by far the best, but then Bly Manor, Midnight Mass,
Mhm.
all of the House of Usher.
Oh, Midnight
love
Mass
those.
was intense.
Midnight Mass is wild.
Ugh.
Was that the? I can't remember which one.
That's like this small town. They live on an island,
Yes,
and there's like the
I did watch
preacher.
that one.
I mean, technically, that one takes place at like Easter, but
Mhm.
it still is spooky.
Yeah.
But those are my favorite. Every October, I rewatch
Mhm.
all of those, starting with Hill House.
Yeah. My husband and I are planning on watching Wednesday for October.
Oh,
We'll do that
good
I
one.
loved Wednesday.
Yeah.
Have you seen the first season?
Yes, we did watch
Okay.
the first season. I've seen it twice now because I watched on my own and then convinced my husband to watch it with me. So I'm
good.
excited for the second season.
It's good.
I love Jenna Ortega.
Yes. She does such a great job.
Yeah.
Mhm. She is Wednesday.
Yes.
She
Yes.
is.
I think I liked the first season a little bit more, but I thought the second season was great too.
I'm excited. Mara, what's your favorite Halloween October movie?
I don't know. I was trying to think of what I like. We don't really watch scary movies. I do like Hocus Pocus.
Mhm.
I always liked Halloween Town, but I don't think
Good
we've
one.
watched that for a long time.
I tried to watch it last year and it was better when I was little.
That's what I was like. Maybe it's better
Yeah.
when you're 13 or
It
you know,
also
12.
was kind of like scary.
Yeah.
It does have
Yeah.
some scary stuff. Yeah.
I was like, I don't want my toddler watching this.
Yeah.
We turned it off.
My kids always like, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mhm.
We usually watch that. The Charlie Brown pumpkin movie. No.
Have you ever watched Coraline?
Yes,
That's a creepy one.
it is.
I actually paid attention and watched it with her this last time. Like, why is this your favorite movie?
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's super creepy.
I have not seen it.
Side note, that movie I was thinking of is called Good Boy.
I need to watch that. Is it on a streaming platform or in theaters?
I didn't look that far. Hang on.
Is it like a new one though? That's
Yeah, it
coming
came out this year.
Okay,
So maybe in theaters.
maybe.
There's so many made by Netflix or made by Max or whatever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I did go see a scary movie with my friend.
It's in theaters right now.
Oh,
Still
cool.
scaring me.
Is
What
it?
movie?
The Conjuring.
Oh,
The
that
new
one's
one.
creepy. Oh, the new one?
Yeah,
Haven't seen that one.
that's
Doesn't
why.
sound fun.
I think the scariest movie I ever saw was called Sinister. I had to
Mm.
sleep with the lights on that night,
Mm-hmm.
and we had friends visiting. And so at the time, I was a freshman in college. My best friend, who I was sharing a room with, she was sleeping out in the living room, and so I was in the room by myself and I had the light on, and I kept seeing the guy in the corner.
Mhm.
That's still to this day. I refuse to rewatch that movie. It's one of the scariest ones I've ever seen.
Ugh.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
no
at
thanks.
least my friend and I laughing and covering our eyes the whole time. So it's okay. The people around us were probably not thrilled that
Probably
we were
not.
in the theater.
We
No.
should cover that case.
It's a true crime. It's based on a
Oh.
true story.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
we should talk about what's the name of the couple? The noted.
I don't.
The people from the show,
Yeah.
like the
Oh, the ones that do.
they're Ed and Lorraine.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't think of their last name though.
Is it Warren?
Yes, Warren.
Yeah.
They did like the Annabelle
Yeah.
stuff, and that was one of the earlier shows I did not see. That's
Yeah.
the first one of those I had seen.
And those ones cover different
Yeah,
cases that they worked
they did like some paranormal. They were
on. Mm-hmm.
I remember when Annabelle came out, half my fifth graders, when I was teaching, had watched it, and they were all scaring each other with talking about
Yeah.
Annabelle.
yeah,
I was
oh my
like,
gosh.
we just have to ban it from the classroom. We cannot discuss this anymore.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
because it's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Yeah.
case I thought was interesting.
Yeah. We'll need to cover
And I was like,
that.
maybe I have to watch more true crime cases. But
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch the scary ones because it's
Yeah.
still scaring me a little bit.
Some are worse than others.
Yeah.
Brandon will send me ones that are coming out, and he's like, "Is this a real story or not?" And so it always gives me a deep dive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had to look it up because I saw it was at the end, it talked about them
Mm-hmm.
and kind of what ended up happening with the characters. And so I knew it was a real case. So I was kind of looking into it after because I hadn't heard of it before.
Yeah, those ones are good.
Very interesting.
Well, the story we're going to be talking about today is related to The Shining.
Maybe Kristen, I have to watch that one.
Yes. I've talked about watching it. I just haven't gotten around to it.
What I know about The Shining probably is from Friends.
Probably. Put it in the freezer.
Yep.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I mean, that one's scary. There are
Red
parts
rum.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's more a psychological thriller.
Mm-hmm.
I do
It
like
didn't
those.
scare me.
Yeah.
Sinister. It's very, very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll think about it.
But it's very well done.
It is.
Should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Imagine a grand white hotel looming against the backdrop of the Rocky Mountains. Its colonial revival silhouette bathed in silver moonlight. The wind whispers through the pines around Estes Park, Colorado, carrying with it the faint echo of music and laughter from a bygone era. For more than a century, the Stanley Hotel has stood here, elegant, isolated, and eerie. By day, it boasts old world charm and panoramic views, but by night, it belongs to the spirits. Today, we're going to step inside the historic hotel's halls, pull up a chair, dim the lights, and listen closely. For in this hotel, the line between fact and folklore is as thin as the mountain air. It all began with a man in search of new life. In 1903, Freeland Oscar F.O. Stanley arrived in the wilds of Colorado, desperately hoping to cheat death. He was a Yankee inventor, co-founder of the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. I looked it up. It was hard to find exactly how much he was worth back in the day, but they had said, quote, became a millionaire overnight by some estimates based on everything that he had worked on prior to moving to Colorado. They're thinking between 35 to 50 million.
Oh, wow.
In today's dollars. He had money.
Mhm.
However, money is useless against tuberculosis, which is what he had. Doctors warned Stanley he had less than 6 months to live. He was only 54 years old, frail and fading, yet determined not to go gently. If he was going to die, Stanley wanted it to be in a place of beauty. So, with his wife Flora by his side, he left the clammy air of the East Coast and traveled west to Colorado's high country to breathe the curative, by some accounts, mountain air. What Stanley found in the Estes Valley was beyond what even the medicine of the time could explain. Nestled at 7,500 feet elevation, the valley's crisp, fresh air and brilliant sunshine worked what seemed like a miracle. Stanley's cough calmed, his strength came back, and as the summer weeks passed, he felt truly alive again. The couple were entranced by the valley's natural beauty, the soaring peaks, the wildflower meadows, and deep forests under impossibly blue skies. By the end of the summer, Stanley was a changed man. Tuberculosis had not claimed him after all. In fact, he thrived. He and Flora decided that they would make this valley their summer haven every year, a sanctuary of health and happiness. F.O. Stanley was not content merely to vacation, though, in Estes Park. He wanted to transform it. At the turn of the 20th century, it was a remote, rustic, wild place. Stanley had a grand vision to bring refinement to this frontier. In 1907, recovered, full of energy, he began reconstructing a magnificent resort that would rival the posh hotels back east. He spared no expense. He purchased 160 acres of land on the mountainside, which was land once owned by an Irish lord with a dubious reputation, Lord Dunraven. Lord Dunraven was the fourth Earl of Dunraven and Mount Earl. He was an Irish aristocrat, a politician, and a sportsman. Long before F.O. Stanley had moved to the Estes Valley, Dunraven had traveled for hunting and fell in love with the Estes Valley. He fell so in love with it, he tried to make it his own. By title, like I said, he was nobility. He had money, power, and political clout. By nature, he was a man with a taste for sport, adventure, and control. In the late 1800s, he arrived in Colorado, chasing elk and deer across the wild frontier. To his eye, the Estes Valley looked like paradise, a hidden Eden of meadows and mountains where he could hunt in solitude. But Dunraven didn't just want to visit this wilderness, he wanted to own it and not share it. Here's where his story darkens. Instead of buying land honestly, Dunraven was more of the scheming type. He dispatched agents to file dozens upon dozens of claims under the Homestead Act, which was land meant for families who wanted to settle and build lives there. The, quote, settlers immediately turned the deeds over to him, and eventually he held the title to more than 15,000 acres.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Doesn't he have money?
Yeah, but he
Could have
doesn't,
just been honest about it.
he doesn't want to.
No.
No. He wanted a vast private hunting preserve fenced off from anyone else. In his vision, Estes Valley would be his personal kingdom in the Rockies. The people of Colorado had other ideas. Ranchers, farmers, and townsfolk watched in outrage as he amassed all of their valley. They saw his arrogance, his indifference to community, and his hunger for this land. Whispers turned to curses. The settlers despised him. His name became bitter on their tongues, and when he finally abandoned his scheme and returned to Europe in defeat, he left behind a valley scarred with resentment. So when, decades later, F.O. Stanley built his Grand Hotel on this very hillside, he actually considered naming it after Dunraven. The reaction, though, was swift and furious. Locals wouldn't stand for it. They forced him to choose another name. And in that, the Stanley Hotel was born. However, Dunraven's shadow still lingered, and perhaps it still does. Guests who sleep in room 407 sometimes feel an unfriendly presence lurking in the corner. The air turns cold, the lights flicker, and some have even claimed to see a stern male figure glaring from the darkness or peering from the window when no one is inside. They call him Lord Dunraven, the land baron who once tried to claim the valley as his own. He never built a house here, he never lived within the walls, but if the stories are to be believed, his restless spirit has moved in anyways, angry and unwelcome. Back to Stanley. After 2 years of construction, hauling timber and rock from the mountains by steam train and mule, the Stanley Hotel opened its doors. It was July 4th, 1909, and the Stanley was a wonder. A 48-room, Georgian-style palace, its white paneled walls topped with elegant, dramatic peaked roofs, perched regally above Estes Park. The hotel boasted luxuries almost unheard of in this wilderness. Guests arrived by specifically designed steam cars that Stanley built to ferry them up the winding mountain roads. Inside, they found electric lights in every room, telephones, running water. There was even in-room bathrooms at a time when much of Colorado still lacked indoor plumbing. The only thing the Stanley Hotel didn't have was heating, as it was originally just a summer resort. It closed each winter when snow buried the valley. But on a summer day in 1909, wealthy vacationers from the East, many of them friends and acquaintances of the Stanleys, stepped out onto the hotel's wide veranda and marveled at the civilized comforts in the heart of raw nature. Over the years that followed, the hotel welcomed presidents, barons of industry, famous entertainers, for example, the unsinkable Molly Brown, composer John Philip Sousa, Theodore Roosevelt. They were all drawn to the Stanley.
Did the Stanleys move there after they spent the summer there, or were they still treating it as just a summer?
They were still treating it as just a summer stop, basically.
Okay.
And that's why they didn't put heat in. They were still planning to go back to the East Coast through the winter.
Okay.
In those early days, the Stanley Hotel was a place of joy. By day, guests hiked and picnicked in the alpine sunshine. By night, they dined in elegance. They danced to live orchestras. They gathered around the massive stone fireplace as logs crackled and the wind sighed outside. F.O. Stanley himself, ever the gracious host, strolled the halls in a dapper suit, making sure every guest was content. If there were ghosts in those early years, they kept respectfully quiet for a time. But even the grandest hotels have their dark moments. And one such moment came on a stormy night in 1911 that would ripple out into legend. So picture the Stanley Hotel. We'll post pictures of it. It's beautiful. On June 25th, 1911, a summer night that was unnaturally dark. Earlier that day, a sudden mountain storm had triggered a flood, and the hotel's new electric lighting system failed. The Grand Hotel was plunged into blackness. Never one to leave guests in discomfort, F.O. Stanley sprang into action. He ordered an urgent solution, old-fashioned gas lamps to be placed throughout the hotel for light. Workers hustled to install gas lines, and lanterns were put in every guest room. By nightfall, the storm had passed, leaving the air damp and cool. An eerie stillness fell over the hotel with only a few dim pools of gaslight flickering in those long corridors. Unbeknownst to anyone, gas was leaking into room 217, silently pooling in the suite where the presidential suite sits today. Down the hall came Elizabeth Wilson. She was the hotel's chief chambermaid. She was the very picture of early 20th century propriety, loyal, no nonsense, and utterly devoted to the Stanley. Carrying an armful of fresh linens and a lit candle to guide her, Miss Wilson entered room 217, intent on whatever it was she was in the middle of. The instant the open flame met the gas, room 217 exploded.
Oh.
A thunderous boom shook the entire hotel, knocking guests off their feet and shattering windows. The blast obliterated about 10% of the massive structure in an instant.
Wow.
Debris rained down in the lobby. Panicked guests and staff feared the hotel might collapse. Down in town, locals surely looked up at the Stanley on the hillside and saw a flash as if a piece of the night sky had burst. Incredibly, miraculously, Elizabeth Wilson survived.
Oh, wow.
The explosion hurled her from the second floor all the way down to the first into the void of the demolished lobby below. She was found unconscious, both of her ankles broken, buried amid splinters of mahogany and shards of glass. 8 others were injured, but by sheer fortune, no one was killed. As the dust settled, one eyewitness claimed they saw an entire bathtub from room 217 lying in the garden, blown through the air like a child's toy.
Wow.
Huge blast. Elizabeth Wilson was rushed to the hospital and eventually awoke from a coma. Ever dedicated to the Stanley, though, she recovered and returned to work at the hotel in 1913.
Wow.
2 years.
Wow.
Recover. Yeah. She resumed her post as head housekeeper. She would serve the hotel faithfully until her retirement in the 1950s.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. You might think a close brush with death and a fall through a collapsing hotel might prompt her to never set foot in that place again, but not Elizabeth. Her loyalty to the Stanleys was unshakable in life and, as it turns out, beyond. From that night on, room 217 would never be the same. The room was painstakingly repaired and restored. In fact, the entire hotel was refurbished and continued on as if nothing had happened. But whispers began that something unseen lingered in room 217. Guests started reporting odd occurrences, lights switching on and off on their own, mysterious cold drafts, and objects moving from where they'd been set. For decades, these stories circulated quietly, shared among staff in hushed tones. Only much later, when the Stanley's haunted reputation took on a life of its own, did the tales truly come to light. And at the center of them was the devoted chambermaid who nearly lost her life there. Elizabeth's spirit, they say, never checked out. Unlike the violent blast that nearly killed her, Elizabeth's ghost is a peaceful presence by most accounts, even helpful. To this day, guests who stay in room 217 occasionally wake up to an uncanny discovery. Their suitcases have been neatly unpacked, or their scattered clothing folded and put away during the night.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I want to go stay there, do my laundry.
I want to go so bad.
I was looking at the location. It's not too far out there from Denver. I'll be there in November.
Yeah.
That's so funny, especially because she was so devoted while she was working there.
Mm-hmm. Still working.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you imagine drifting off to sleep with your luggage in this messy heap on the floor, and then you wake up and find everything folded and put away for you?
I think that's amazing.
Can she come live at my house?
I was
know,
thinking
right?
that. Like, I need that at my house,
Yes.
too.
I would take that ghost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some visitors have also reported feeling a gentle tucking in as if invisible hands straighten their blankets around them in the dark.
Love
Okay.
this.
One astonished couple even swore that during the night while they slept, someone or something made the bed with them still in it. The next morning, the hotel staff heard the couple's bewildered account of how they woke tightly tucked under their sheets. Mrs. Wilson, it seems, is still ever the conscientious chambermaid, taking care of overnight guests in her room. But Mrs. Wilson's ghost has firm, old-fashioned morals, it would appear. Unmarried couples sharing the bed in room 217 have reported a far chillier experience. A cold, perhaps disproving presence wedging its way between them as they sleep. Yeah. It seems our housekeeper does not approve of, as she would put it, impropriety. So, a word to the wise, if you ever reserve room 217 and you're not married, don't be surprised if you feel an icy entity climbing into bed to enforce a bit of Victorian decorum.
That's amazing.
Yes. The legend of room 217 is just one of the many threads in the Stanley Hotel's supernatural tapestry. Over the decades, what began as quiet local lore evolved into full-fledged haunted reputation. By the mid-20th century, times had changed. The opulence of the era faded, the hotel aged, and a few whispers of ghosts turned into persistent rumors. Staff and guests spoke of strange laughter in empty corridors, shadows flitting at the edge of vision. Still, the Stanley kept those stories mostly to itself, like an inside secret, until a famous writer's visit changed everything. But before we get to that pivotal night, it's worth knowing who some of the resident ghosts are said to be. After all, the Stanley Hotel is crawling with spirits, or so the stories go, and not all of them are as kindly as Mrs. Wilson. Let's talk about the grand lobby of the Stanley. Envision its wooden beams, its antique chandeliers, the grand staircase that ascends to the second floor, and the enormous hearth where a cozy fire often dances. In the quiet of late evening, with most guests retired, this lobby can feel like a time warp. And if you're alone here, you may sense that you are not actually alone. Many visitors and staff have caught a glimpse of a distinguished gentleman out of the corner of their eye, a man with a trim mustache and a vested suit straight out of 1910. F.O. Stanley himself has been spotted in these halls long after his death in 1940. He loved this hotel so much in life, as many believe he simply never left. One oft-told incident recalls a tour group gathered in the billiards room, which was Stanley's favorite room, where his mounted animal trophies and fine cigars once resided. As the guide told guests about stories of the old days, a figure materialized behind an unwitting visitor in the back. It was an older man with a neatly trimmed beard, watching with a slight smile, a man who perfectly matched F.O. Stanley's appearance. And in a blink, he was gone.
Wild.
On other nights, bartenders cleaning up after closing time have allegedly seen Mr. Stanley stroll through the empty bar, perhaps checking up on his beloved establishment. One stunned bartender claimed the figure even nodded at him before fading into the kitchen wall. If you happen to see an elderly gentleman roaming the hotel lobby, with quiet pride look closely, you might have just met the original owner.
Kayla's so excited about this.
Where F.O. appears, Flora is often not far behind. Flora was an accomplished pianist in life. Music was her passion. She had a grand piano that graced the music room and later the ballroom of the hotel. Late at night, when the corridors are still and the mountains outside gleam under the moon, staff and guests have reported the faint melody of piano music wafting through the corridors. The sound drifts from the empty ballroom as if an invisible musician gently runs her fingers across the keys in the dark. Those who follow the notes into the room have seen the piano's ivory keys moving up and down on their own, depressing as if an unseen player is practicing scales.
I'm picturing that scene from The Ghost of Mr. Chicken where they walk in and the organ starts playing.
I've been thinking about that for the past 5 minutes.
That's a good Halloween show, too.
Yes,
It
it
is good.
Classic.
Yeah. The moment anyone crosses the threshold and steps into the ballroom, though, the music stops. The room falls silent and the piano is still. Flora, it seems, doesn't mind an audience from afar, but the instant you intrude, her recital ends. The Stanley staff have come to know Flora's playful presence well. If you catch the faint strains of a waltz or a ragtime tune in the dead of night, you might tip your hat to Mrs. Stanley and listen quietly. She may be playing just for the love of it. Not all of the Stanley spirits are as kind as the founding couple. Some carry a darker aura, and their antics range from mischievous to downright unnerving. Many of these tales center on the hotel's infamous fourth floor. In the early days, the fourth floor was this cavernous attic space where female employees, children, and nannies often stayed, while wealthier guests occupied the fancier rooms below. Perhaps it's fitting then that otherworldly children seem to still play here. Guests on the fourth floor often report hearing children running up and down the corridor, laughing and playing when no children are registered at the hotel. So you might hear the pitter-patter of little feet outside your door at midnight, giggles echoing faintly, and the pat of a bouncing ball. But when you peek out, the long hall is empty and still.
Just picturing two little girls sitting there in blue dresses.
Yes, riding on a tricycle.
Yes.
One couple, after a sleepless night of such sounds, angrily complained to the front desk about noisy kids, keeping them up all night. The staff could only apologize and inform them that no children were in the hotel that night. The couple checked out a bit unnerved, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Housekeepers tasked with cleaning room 418, the room with perhaps the most reports of child spirit activity, have found impressions on the bed as if someone had been jumping or rolling around on it while the room was vacant. Sometimes those prints appear moments after the bed was made. It seems some eternally young pranksters are determined to carry on their playtime long after lights out. Other witnesses have described more personal encounters on the fourth floor. A gentle tug on the hair as if a curious child were walking behind them, reaching up maybe to feel the texture. In at least one account, a sensitive tour guide speculated that one of these child ghosts might have had autism in life, given the particular ways this child interacts. A detail that only deepens the mystery of who these ghostly children are. Their laughter is innocent, but being alone up there and hearing a tiny giggle behind you can send a chill right up your spine. Some visitors have even taken to leaving small candies like lollipops outside their fourth floor doors as maybe an offering to these little spirits. In the morning, they'll find the candy moved or gone, as if small invisible hands accepted the treats in exchange for some peace and quiet. Sweet or not, the phantom children of the Stanley Hotel are notoriously active, and they love to make their presence known to anyone who dares sleep on their floor. Down the hall from room 418 is room 407, which is another hot spot of ghost activity. If 217 belongs to Mrs. Wilson, 407 seems claimed by a far grumpier ghost. Guests who stay in 407 sometimes wake to the sense of an unseen figure standing in the corner, watching them intently.
I don't like that.
Nope.
It's creepy.
That is not the kind of presence that I would like in my
No,
hotel
I'll take
room.
217.
Yeah, I'll take Miss Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
That's always the fear. Like wake up and like, oh, someone's standing in the corner.
Uh-huh.
So some describe the shape of a man lurking near the room's bathroom door. He doesn't always keep to the shadows either. On occasion, people have seen a face peering out of the window of 407. They recall a gaunt, ghostly face gazing down even when the room is completely unoccupied. The staff have given this surly spirit a name. They call him Lord Dunraven.
Fitting.
And remember, he never actually stayed at the Stanley Hotel because he had left Colorado before it was built. But whoever haunts room 407 has a distinctly impolite personality, very much in line with Dunraven's notorious character. One couple, enduring the ceaseless annoyance of the room's lights turning on and off by themselves, finally decided to speak to the darkness. Half jokingly, they addressed the unseen presence. "We know you're here. We're only staying 2 nights. Would you please keep the lights on?" To their amazement and alarm, the lamp in the corner clicked on in response.
Oh, jeez.
That night, every time they shut their eyes, new disturbances sprang up. Strange noises near the elevator, even though it wasn't running, thumped through the silence as if the ghost was ensuring that they got no rest. Perhaps Lord Dunraven's vengeful spirit resents Stanley for usurping his land and filling it with merriment, or perhaps some other long-departed soul claims that room. Either way, room 407's guest is not known for his hospitality. If you continue up the corridor, past the creaking floorboards and old portraits on the walls whose eyes seem to follow you, you might find yourself at room 428 at the end of the hall. Many guests choose this room for its spectacular top-floor view of the Rockies, but some get more than they bargained for. Over the years, there have been multiple reports of a cowboy apparition in room 428. Yes, you heard that correctly, a cowboy, complete with rustic boots and possibly a ghostly Stetson hat appearing at the bedside. One guest awoke in the dead of night to see a tall, lean cowboy leaning against the wall in the corner, watching her silently. He just tipped his hat and vanished. Another guest, half asleep, felt a weight at the foot of the bed as if someone had just sat down. But in the darkness, she could make out no one there. More unsettling are the reports from a few women who stayed alone in 428 and woke to a sensation of a phantom kiss on their cheek.
Oh, that's creepy.
We had the same response. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I'm sure there's a genre of book for this.
I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cowboy romance is very popular. Just add in the ghost aspect, make it a little creepy.
Yeah. Yeah, the cowboy is called a
Mhm.
flirtatious spirit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Some locals speculate this is the ghost of a local outlaw or cowboy from the 1800s. Some suggest Rocky Mountain Jim Nugent, a rugged frontiersman of Estes Park lore who died in a violent dispute, and they think might roam these parts still. Whoever he is, he's a mostly benign presence, if a tad cheeky.
have you guys seen Ghosts, the TV show?
Oh, I was like, no.
No, the
I
TV
want to watch
show.
it though, but no, I
It's
haven't.
so funny. It's reminding me of this hotel because they have a hotel that's haunted by people who had lived in that area before them, before they came there. It's really funny.
I wonder if it was based off of any of the
Maybe.
haunted hotels.
There's a British version.
That one's hilarious
Yeah.
too.
And then they made an American version of it.
Yeah, they're both good. But the American version, I think, has more seasons than the British one. But they're both
on my
funny. You
list.
should watch them. But it's reminding me of this.
Mm-hmm.
On top of the cowboy sightings, guests in 428 often complain of strange noises overhead. Chairs dragging, boots stomping on floorboards, but 428 is on the top floor. There is nothing above it but roof and sky.
Weird.
The thuds and scraping sounds persist as if an invisible hoedown is happening in a non-existent attic. Like so much of the Stanley, logic is defied, and the experiences remain profoundly unexplained.
I've been watching How I Met Your Mother, and there's an episode in the final season. They get room 13, and it's haunted by a ghost. And she goes to complain about like the AC isn't working, it won't turn off. And they're like, oh, well, he likes it chilly in there. And she's like, there's no Wi-Fi. And they're like, well, ghosts interfere with technology. So it's just funny. Like everything that's wrong with the room. She's like,
It's
the
the
lock
ghost.
doesn't work. They're like, well, the ghost doesn't want to get locked out of the room.
I think I would blame things on a ghost too.
Oh, 100%.
Sounds
We
easier.
can't fix that because
The ghost.
the ghost
The
wants
ghost.
it that way.
Exactly.
I
Sorry.
might start saying that in my house. I tried
Good.
to pick that up, but the ghost.
They
bumped
put it
out.
back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I folded all the laundry, I promise.
Totally.
Somehow it got put back in the basket.
Beyond the main hotel, the Stanley property holds other secrets. A short walk from the main building stands the concert hall, a gift from F.O. Stanley to his wife, Flora. This intimate performance space once rang with Flora's music and high society entertainment. Now it is a favorite spot for the paranormal tour guides to show off some ghostly hotspots. They speak of a shy, spectral young woman named Lucy who supposedly haunts the concert hall's basement. Legend says Lucy was a homeless girl who sought shelter in the hall one cold night and unfortunately met a tragic end. And now her spirit responds to flashlight prompts and the sound of her name. Guides also mention Paul, a former maintenance man who used to enforce the hotel's 11 p.m. curfew. His gruff voice can still be heard commanding late-night loiterers to get out after hours. In one account, a tour group in the hall distinctly heard an unseen man bark, "Get out!" from the darkness, sending a jolt of fear through everyone, as if Paul were still on duty, ensuring the living respect the rules. The concert hall seems to host an ensemble of guests. We have Lucy, Paul, an unfriendly spirit named Edward who likes to slam doors, even pets. Down a narrow staircase beneath the hotel lies a network of caves and tunnels the staff once used to discreetly move about. That way they wouldn't be seen by guests in the old days. In these cold, rocky passageways, people often smell phantom baked goods wafting through the air. The sweet aroma of pastries with no earthly baker in sight.
That would be very disappointing.
Yes.
That would be.
Like, where's the pastries? Sorry, there are
Ghosts.
none.
Nope.
Dang it.
The staff just secretly ate them all. Oh, yeah, it was the
Yeah.
ghost.
Yep.
Sorry.
Everything is the ghost. They say it's the ghost of the long ago pastry chef who's still dutifully preparing confections in the afterlife. And near the exit of these tunnels sits a small pet cemetery where past hotel owners laid their beloved pets to rest. One grave is marked for Cassie, the golden retriever, and on quiet nights, some have heard the dog's happy bark or felt an invisible canine brush against their legs. Guests have even claimed that a friendly ghost dog delivers the newspaper in the morning, just as Cassie used to do. At the Stanley Hotel, even the pets still haunt. With such an abundance of ghostly accounts, the Stanley Hotel has earned a reputation over time as one of the most haunted hotels in America. But for most of the 20th century, these tales remained relatively local. By the 1970s, the Grand Hotel's glory had faded. It was aging, underfunded, and the rumblings of disrepair echoed in the halls. Indeed, by the early 70s, the Stanley was a shadow of its former self. Paint peeling, rooms outdated, and occupancy so low in the winter that it would just close for months. There was even talk that the once proud hotel might face demolition. And it might have, if not for the night when Stephen King slept in room 217. Stephen King, yes, the writer that Stephen King, and his wife, Tabitha, happened upon the Stanley Hotel in late September 1974. King was a rising author at the time, working on a novel called The Stand and living in Boulder, about an hour's drive away. The young couple sought a weekend getaway in the mountains and found themselves in Estes Park. They arrived at the Stanley only to learn that the hotel was just about to shut down for winter season. In fact, they had come on the very last day before closure. As King later recalled, quote, "It was their last day of the season. Everybody was leaving and nobody was coming in. The huge hotel was deserted, save for a skeleton crew of staff, but King and Tabitha managed to check in for one night, the only guests in the entire place."
Oh, wow.
Imagine wandering the Stanley's long hallways that evening, the once bustling corridors now eerily silent. The Kings felt the strange melancholy of a hotel emptier than it should ever be. Wind howled outside, rattling the old windows as a storm rolled over the Rockies. They took their dinner in the grand dining room, an enormous space built to seat hundreds. And indeed, they were the only two people eating. Dozens of chairs were upturned on tables around them, as if even the furniture was preparing to hibernate. The only sounds were the clink of their silverware echoing off hardwood and the tinny recorded music that piped through the dining room for almost nobody. One can easily picture Stephen King, then just 27 years old, glancing around that empty, elegant room and feeling a prickle of disquiet, as if they were intruders in a place meant to be full of life. After dinner, Stephen and Tabitha retreated to the now infamous room 217, the presidential suite and the very room where 63 years earlier, Elizabeth Wilson had nearly met her fate. The Kings were unaware of the room's history. To them, it was simply the best room available in an empty hotel. Nonetheless, a sense of isolation weighed on them. Tabitha soon fell asleep in the antique four-poster bed. Stephen, however, felt restless in the unfamiliar suite. Perhaps in the long hallways he had explored earlier, their patterned carpets and faded wallpaper reminded him of some half-remembered childhood nightmare. Perhaps it was the quiet. Too quiet, broken only by the groan of the building settling. King stepped out into the corridor, wandering the meandering hall by himself. You can imagine him pausing and almost expecting to see twin girls in blue dresses at the end of the hall. A terrifying image from a movie that didn't yet exist, but would one day be associated with the very spot he was standing. The Stanley's emptiness was getting to his imagination. Eventually, he returned to room 217, where at last he drifted into an uneasy sleep. And that's when the nightmare struck. King dreamed a horrific, vivid scene. In the corridor outside room 217, an old-fashioned fire hose, one of those coiled hoses mounted on the wall, came to life. It unspooled, slithering across the carpet, and in Stephen King's dream, it transformed into a venomous serpent, chasing his young son down the halls. In the dream, King's 3-year-old son Joe was running, looking back over his shoulder, eyes wide with terror as the snake-like hose pursued him mercilessly through the endless empty corridors. The hose caught up, coiling around the boy, its metal nozzle morphing into a gaping mouth. Just as it was about to swallow his son alive, King jolted awake in a sweat, heart pounding.
Oh, that would be a terrible nightmare.
Yeah.
Disoriented, he leapt out of bed, breathing hard in the dark. The image of his son's horror still seared in his mind. It took a moment to realize where he was. Tabitha was still asleep peacefully next to him, unaware. Stephen King stepped to the window of 217 and opened it, lighting a cigarette with trembling hands. He looked out at the Rockies under the moon, perhaps seeing the lights of Estes Park twinkling below and the vast stillness of the wilderness beyond. As he stood there smoking in the cool night air, the terror of the nightmare began to ebb, replaced by a flicker of inspiration. By the time King stubbed out his cigarette and crawled back into bed, the rough outline of the entire novel had formed in his mind.
Wow.
In the darkness of room 217, The Shining was born.
That's so cool.
Totally agree. This has been a really interesting case to research. Stephen King would later say that the Stanley Hotel was the inspiration for his 1977 novel, The Shining, and specifically that one night in room 217 gave him the story he'd been searching for.
Did he mention if they saw any ghosts or hauntings or anything while he was there?
Not that I really found. I would assume something, though, right?
I don't know.
They just haunted his dreams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which feels like haunting in and of itself.
Yep.
Stephen King left Estes Park the next day with what would become one of the most famous horror novels of all time. The tale of an off-season caretaker, his family, and an old hotel that comes alive with ghosts of the past.
Do you think he knew the history of the hotel, like the hauntings and things like that?
It said he didn't know the history of the room when he stayed there. It was just like the nicest one, and since no one else was staying there, they let him have it. I would assume he found all the stories after, though.
After.
Yeah. I think it was just a cool getaway for a night or for a weekend for
So
them.
he didn't go there because
Right.
it was haunted.
Right.
Okay.
Pre-internet, I guess. Keeping those stories on the down low.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he lived not far from there.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he had heard about some things.
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know.
Yeah. There's always more interesting things to dig into.
Mhm.
The Overlook Hotel of Stephen King's imagination is a fictional composite, but its soul is undeniably that of the Stanley. The Stanley's long, empty hallways, the grand dining room with chairs on tables, the deserted bar, the mountain winds, the isolation, all of these elements made their way into The Shining. King transformed Elizabeth Wilson's near-death incident into the ghostly woman of room 217 in the novel, which he changed to room 237 for the film adaptation. The fire hose that chased his son became the topiary animals and the fire hose scenes in the book. Even the Stanley's old boiler, still tucked in the basement, became a source of menace in the story's climax. King later wondered, only half jokingly, if the two benign staff they met, a bartender and a housekeeper, were actually ghosts themselves. Perhaps F.O. Stanley and Elizabeth Wilson welcoming him to their hotel to stroke his imagination. Whether by fate or phantom influence, Stephen King's stay breathed new life into the Stanley Hotel, quite literally saving it. After The Shining was published in 1977 and Stanley Kubrick's blockbuster film hit theaters in 1980, horror fans and curiosity seekers began flocking to Estes Park just to see the hotel that inspired the Overlook. The Stanley, once on the brink of closure, suddenly became an icon. Its owners embraced the hotel's fame and eerie new image. No longer did they shy away from the ghost stories, they capitalized on them. Today, the hotel leans proudly into its haunted legend and pop culture status. They even added a hedge maze on the front lawn a few years ago, a nod to the film, though thankfully without a frozen Jack Torrance in the center. In the lobby gift shop, you can buy copies of The Shining and assorted ghost hunting gadgets. And actually, some packages come with a ghost detector. Every guest room's TV runs a constant loop of The Shining, so brave souls can fall asleep to the sound of Jack Nicholson's eerie chants. The Stanley Hotel has gone from a near-forgotten relic to a must-visit destination for horror buffs, history lovers, and paranormal enthusiasts. I got some stories from people who stayed there, and with permission, I'm going to share them with you.
Ooh.
The first one is a Redditor who goes by Embarrassed Thing 85. This Redditor said, "The hotel itself, I did have an experience there. I was using ghost hunting tools in my room and really got nothing. So I made the comment, this place isn't freaking haunted." We went downstairs with my family and sat in front of the fireplace while some of us shopped. I got this eerie feeling in front of that fireplace. I shook it off and we enjoyed the day. At night, I woke up to this weird noise, like a scratching sound. I got up and went to the bathroom and heard a voice, a really deep voice, say, "Get out now." I started shaking and I got really nervous. I felt like something could see me that I couldn't see. I even started to cry because of the sounds and the voice. The TV had been on, and whatever was on there right at that time said, "Crybaby, go tell it to the fireplace," which was weird since they had gotten the other feeling while sitting on the fireplace. This Redditor also told me that employees never stay for more than a few months. Also, they're not allowed in the extra building or the maintenance building out back alone. They have to go in pairs. There was an electrician that didn't listen and saw something that scared him so bad he jumped out of a second-story window and broke both legs.
Oh, wow.
This Redditor sent me a bunch of really great pictures from their stay there. With permission, we're going to share those as well. This Redditor also gave me the tip that if you do stay there, don't push the button to call the elevator because it will shock you worse than you've ever been shocked in your life.
Oh,
Weird.
Hmm?
Use the stairs.
Yeah, use the stairs or trick someone else into pushing it. They also sent me a picture of the seance room, and they said this is a working seance room, which we did go ahead and participate in. It was very cool. A man named Hannibal did the seance. They said, I felt like maybe it would be all smoke and mirrors. I used his marker to write my childhood comfort word or place on a card. Then he held a separate personal item of mine and told me why it was my favorite, and he was spot on. I don't know how he got the details. Another Redditor named Melissa gave me permission to tell her visit. Melissa said, we didn't do any tours, but we still had some experiences. She said, if you go, pick up a ghost detector there. At the main fireplace, one of the chairs had a spirit or an energy. There was a hallway near some of the haunted rooms where it would go off like crazy. The main ballroom, too. The oddest thing happened when we were leaving. We were in our car just past the entrance on the wooded road, and our radio started changing channels. Then our deck lid in our hatchback slammed shut. My heart was racing. It felt like we had a hitchhiker that then left us at that moment.
Weird. It's interesting that both of them had an experience at the fireplace.
And I have a picture of that to share too. And then one other one said, my wife really wanted to stay in Lord Dunraven's room for a special occasion, so we did. Worst night of sleep I've ever had. I wouldn't sleep in that room alone again for $1 million. Whatever was in there was messing with us. It was evil incarnate. Came home with me too, but eventually I was able to ditch it. Always be careful what you wish for.
See, that's why I want to visit these places during the day. I don't want to stay there at night. No, thank you.
Agreed. So, should you ever find yourself in Estes Park, you can drive up the winding road to the Stanley's entrance. You can step in the elegant lobby with its vintage charm and let a staff member, perhaps with a knowing smile, hand you an old-fashioned brass key. As you walk to your room, take a moment in the corridor, feel the history around you. The carpet beneath your feet has been trod on by 116 years of guests, some of whom apparently like it so much they've never left. In the quiet, you might sense them. Perhaps a gentle woman in a long gown glides past a threshold up ahead, or a little boy peeks around a corner, or maybe a man in an old-fashioned suit nods politely at you before fading away. Or maybe it's just your mind playing tricks. At the Stanley Hotel, who can say? Sometimes it's in the dead of night when the truly extraordinary occurs. Do you guys dare check in?
No.
For the day, as previously stated.
No, I'm good. I don't truly believe in all of it, but I'm not testing it.
And why not, Krista?
I don't want to test it.
So there's something that gets you a little bit.
Well, especially when it's nighttime. No, thanks.
Then I think even if you don't believe in it, if you know the things that people say, maybe your mind will trick you into seeing things, or
Totally.
I don't know, things like that too.
Especially if it's the middle of the night and you're half awake, half asleep.
Yeah.
There's been several times where I've woken up and looked around my room and seen things. My mind is still half asleep, but I'm awake. So,
Sure.
well, there's scenes from
Krista
movies.
sees ghosts.
No, it's usually scenes from movies.
All right. Let us know if you would stay at the Stanley Hotel. Oh, also, Dumb and Dumber was filmed there.
Oh, really?
Really?
Random.
And The Shining was not filmed there. It only inspired it and was written because of this stay there.
Interesting.
But if you've ever seen Dumb and Dumber, then you've seen the Stanley Hotel.
Also, a very spooky movie.
Also very spooky. All right. Let us know if you would stay there. If you have stayed there, I would love to hear your stories about it. You can email us, crimeclueless@gmail.com, or connect with us on social media. We're at Crime Clueless on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, etc. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love if you would share it or give us a rating. We are on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. Thank you again for joining us for this spooky Halloween month episode. We truly appreciate it. And as always, remember, refuse to be clueless, careless, or caught off guard.
Not today, murders.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.